For as long as anime fans can remember, every cool anime main character has had a badass father looming in the shadows. Hell, Light Yagami's got Soichiro Yagami, who is the chief of police. Naruto's got Minato, who's a Hokage. And Ichigo's got Ishin, who's a badass Soul Reaper. But from where it all started, we can see that Goku has one of the most badass father figures in the world, who got his own TV special. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bardock, the father of Goku. Hello everybody, Tyron the God 3 here, and welcome to the Dragon Ball Z TV special reviews. Now that I'm done doing reviews of each of the movies, at least until that new movie comes out, I will be reviewing the TV specials. There's a grand total of about 4 TV specials that came out for Dragon Ball Z that weren't classified necessarily as movies, but they did last a bit longer than regular episodes, and they cover a lot of things that regular Dragon Ball Z episodes or the manga just didn't have the time to cover, and they're actually very interesting. So I decided to review all of them, and we're starting off with the one that chronologically starts off the DBZ timeline, Bardock, the father of Goku. So I guess we can do this the same way we do the movie reviews and go through timeline placement. This special takes place this special basically starts the DBZ timeline off. This is before even Dragon Ball started. This is basically where the entire DBZ universe chronologically comes to a beginning. I mean, as far as like our heroes are concerned. From the viewpoint we can see, Vegeta's still about a child. He looks to be about 5 years old. And Goku is just born, so he's literally a newborn. As far as everyone else is concerned, King Vegeta got killed shortly after executing Broly, so that branches into that timeline. Turles has gone off to do his own mission, so he's separated from Planet Vegeta, so that's where the whole Tree of Might special comes from. And Cooler is somewhere close to Frieza as he's able to see the results of the conclusion of this special, but chooses not to kill Goku. So a lot of things happen around this period of time. Also, Broly's born around this time, obviously, because, Goku and Broly were born on the same day. So, with all of those plot points put together, Bardock and the father of Goku is the closest we ever get to seeing all of these events unfold at once. So let's get started with that good old plot summary. The special basically begins with the Saiyans going off into several different areas. And they talk about the Saiyans and how destructive they are. The Saiyans go in and destroy the planet known as Planet Kassan. They go and invade it and wipe it out of all the population of people that are there. The Kanassans are known as psychics. They can use psychic abilities to read minds, to talk to others telepathically, and see the future. Which begs the question, how did they not see the Saiyan attack coming? There's an abridged series Team 4-Star made in order to kind of cover that, but it's not canon, obviously, but it's still pretty hilarious. Anyway, after Bardock's crew goes in and destroys all of the Kanassans after using the power of the full moon to turn Great Ape, they have a little powwow chat discussion. And one of my favorite scenes is actually in this moment where they're all just chilling and talking about things. Apparently, since they can't retain their memory of what it's like to be in Great Ape because they're not high-class Saiyans. But the thing about I thought was really cool is that Bardock can remember all of the events in battle, but he can't remember his personal life. They ask him exactly when Kakarot, that's his Saiyan name, they ask him when Kakarot was born, and Bardock thinks that it's a long time ago, when in fact, it was yesterday. And Raditz is nowhere to be mentioned in this, but we can only assume that he's with Vegeta, or at least going to be with Vegeta soon. But anyway, once all of that is being told, Bardock and the others get back to go heal up after their mission was a success. But before all of that goes down, they meet up with one more Kanassan that was basically badly damaged through the results of the destruction that the Saiyans caused. Since they talked about the Kanassans' power and how cool it would be to have them, one of the Kanassans actually goes in and ambushes Bardock with a surprise attack and hits him at a pressure point in the neck. Because of this, the Kanassa is able to transfer his powers of psychic abilities to Bardock before he ends up getting blasted into fire, and then Bardock finishes him all by blowing him up into pieces. Once that happens, Bardock faints after being stricken in the neck, and they take him back to get recovered. While Bardock's in the recovery chamber, the rest of the Saiyans that were in Bardock's team go off to Planet Meat because they're assigned a mission there by Lord Frieza himself. Frieza's contemplating the power of the Saiyans and wondering how exactly they were powerful enough to take on the Kanassans so easily. Zarbon and Dodoria basically conclude that the Saiyans are getting stronger and stronger. A group of low-class Saiyans were able to take out something that even the elites would have had trouble taking out. This makes Frieza a bit cautious and feels like he has to take some extra measures in order to make sure that the Saiyans don't get too powerful. So that's why he assigns Bardock's team to go to Planet Meat. Meanwhile, while Bardock's recovering, Bardock gets a glimpse of the psychic power that the Kanassans give him, and he starts to see various visions of his son Kakarot doing several different fights and growing up. Because of this, however, it hits Bardock hard, and he goes into a mental trauma state, and then ends up having really high vitals because of this. He screams, and they get him out of the recovery chamber before it's too late. Bardock's able to fully wake up and learns that his team is already off to Planet Meat without him, so he goes to decide to meet up with them later. Once Bardock heads off in order to find the others, he runs into Kakarot, for a couple of seconds and looks at him. Once he looks at him, he notices that Kakarot's power is very low. Extremely low. But at the same time, I think there was one doctor that's sitting near the area that looks at Kakarot and is his power is low, but the way he's screaming, he's got a lot of spirit. Bardock also confirms that he kind of thinks that Kakarot knows the fate of Planet Vegeta soon and knows of the future. Anyway, Bardock goes off and then suits up in order to head off to Planet Meat. Once he finally reaches Planet Meat, however, before he makes it there, we see that Tora, Fasha, and the rest of the gang have all been brutally murdered by Dodoria, as well as the rest of the Frieza's elite soldiers. Not the Ginyu Force, just some elite soldiers that Frieza had. Dodoria basically pulls Tora in, and Tora asks why he's doing this. And he basically explains that Frieza's feared them because they're becoming too powerful. Because of this, Dodoria goes ahead and finishes Tora off with one giant punch. Bardock makes it to Planet Meat and sees that everyone is basically dead, with the exception of Tora. Tora's on his last breath and tells Bardock exactly what's gone down and why Frieza has ordered them to come to Planet Meat and the betrayal. After that, Tora dies in Bardock's arms, and Bardock takes the little bandana that Tora had on his arm and wipes the blood off with it. Now soaked in red blood, Bardock decides to use his bandana and puts it on his head. It is then that he's greeted with the rest of Frieza's elite soldiers after the destruction, and Bardock basically gets pissed and attacks all four at once. Bardock makes quick work of the elites as he's able to knock out all four relatively easy. He even does some cool maneuvers to make one of the soldiers end up killing two of the other soldiers at the same time. So that was pretty cool. It shows how much of a renegade Bardock is, and his fighting style is very vicious. After wiping out all four of the elite soldiers, Dodoria ends up meeting up with Bardock, and then Dodoria basically hits Bardock with one huge mouth blast. Dodoria thinks that he's got the job done, so he goes ahead and flies back to Frieza's spaceship without checking to see if Bardock is dead. This comes to bite him in the ass later, as Zarbon and Frieza have already confirmed that Bardock is still alive, and Bardock goes ahead and tries to fly off back to Planet Vegeta. When doing so, Bardock also gets a couple of visions during all of this, and the visions basically show the end of Planet Vegeta. Once all of this is going set in stone, Dodoria tries to go back in order to finish the job, but Frieza stops him. He states that instead of trying to kill one little bee, he's going to go for the entire hive. What he means is that he's going to try to destroy Planet Vegeta, obviously. Once all this is set in stone, the injured Bardock lands back on Planet Vegeta and refuses any help from anyone to get recovered and back up to his original health. Instead, Bardock goes off and tries to warn the others. While Before he headed to Planet Vegeta, however, he was able to see Goku or Kakarot, for a brief second, and then they both fly their separate ways. Kakarot's now headed to Earth, while Bardock is warning the other Saiyans of the destruction of Planet Vegeta. The Saiyans don't take him very seriously, however, and they all laugh at him for the very thought of Frieza going in to destroy the entire Planet Vegeta. Because of this, Bardock just goes ahead and ignores them all and decides that he's going to go ahead and fight Frieza himself. Bardock basically knows that he's going to die based on the visions that he was given, and somehow the Kanassans are able to talk with Bardock telepathically even though they're dead. Yeah, it gets kind of weird. Anyway, Bardock knows that the end is near, but he knows that if he's going to go out, he's going to go out fighting. So Bardock basically flies towards Frieza in order to meet him personally. Once on the way to Frieza's spaceship, a lot of Frieza's guards go in and try to stop him, but they all basically get their asses handed to him by Bardock, who's rampaging through all of them. Once he rampages through basically an army, Frieza comes in and greets him. Bardock wants to finish the job here and there. Meanwhile, while this is happening, Vegeta gets a little pissed that... this happens shortly before all of that goes down. Vegeta gets pissed that all he's been doing is drills and practices fighting off against Cybermen. It's here that we see that Nappa actually still has a full set of hair, and we also see that Vegeta's really strong for his age, but it's expected. He's a high-class Saiyan. Vegeta gets assigned a mission by Frieza, one of the hardest missions that they have. So Vegeta goes off with Nappa and presumably Raditz in order to fulfill that mission. While that's all happening, Frieza finally emerges from his spaceship in order to meet off against the Saiyan that's been causing so much trouble. So now that Bardock and Frieza are face to face, Bardock basically claims that everybody around him quits, even though I don't know how Bardock can speak for an entire army. Anyway, Bardock basically renegades against Frieza. He's doing this basically because he feels there's still time to change the way he is. This is because he had a little vision, weird psychic powwow with Goku / Kakarot during one of his little vision trips. Bardock decides to put all of the energy he has left into a giant ball of energy and launches it towards Frieza. However, this quickly fails as Frieza uses his Death Ball or Supernova attack in order to basically absorb that blast and make a giant sun-like ball of energy that launches towards him, the army, and Planet Vegeta. This hits Bardock hard as well as the rest of the army and heads down towards Planet Vegeta, but Bardock comforts himself with the fact that in his visions at last minute he sees that Goku / Kakarot is going to be the one to grow up and fight off against Frieza, and he will be the one to defeat Frieza. Because of this, he's proud and feels that his sacrifice was not in vain, and he ends up getting destroyed in the explosion along with the rest of Frieza's army and Planet Vegeta. The planet blows up and basically everything gets destroyed. It's here that we also see that Broly was able... Well, we don't see this scene, but it happens. Broly gets Paragus away from the explosion via a shield. Turles is gone. Vegeta, Raditz, and Nappa are on another planet as of current. And Cooler's watching Goku get away, but he's choosing not to destroy the space pod because, arrogance. So yeah, all of this goes down at the exact same time. Once the explosion's out of the way, one of Frieza's army men tells Vegeta that his home planet got destroyed, but not by Frieza, by a comet, lying to Vegeta to assure him that, he didn't do it. And then while this is all happening, on Earth, Grandpa Gohan, the old Gohan, ends up seeing Goku / Kakarot come out of the space pod, and he picks him up and decides to adopt him and name him Goku. It's from there that we see that the Dragon Ball universe officially begins, and Goku's journey from baby all the way up till current begins. And that's the end of the special. So... that was Bardock and the father of Goku. What do I feel about it? I love this special. This special basically starts off a lot of things. A chain reaction of things, if you will. Bardock's actions, while they did fail and he has a tragic end with him losing all of his friends and then himself later, is definitely bringing of a lot of things that come together. The Saiyan saga and the Frieza saga are definitely connected in terms of plot, but this is what brings those plots to fruition. A lot of movies and episodes basically revolve around this moment right here. I mean, hell, if Bardock didn't do what he did, Frieza would have ended up destroying Goku's spaceship, and we would have never gotten this far. So yeah, both Cooler and Frieza botched up the job of killing Goku because they were too distracted by the destruction of Planet Vegeta. I just love how everything comes full circle around this point. And like I said, while Bardock's sacrifice was a sacrifice, it wasn't in vain. And we got to see how well of a fighter that Bardock was. It's clear that Bardock definitely was a unique Saiyan. And even though he was a low-class Saiyan, he definitely showed to be a very triumphant Saiyan when it came to making a point across. He was even stronger than some of Frieza's elite soldiers, which is definitely something to be applaud-worthy. And I love the relationship that he had with his friends. The short little conversation that they had after the destruction of planet Kanassa was definitely enjoyable to listen to. One of my favorite scenes in this entire special is when Goku's being launched to Earth and one of the guards being voiced by the same person who does Android 17's voice. I think his name was Chuck Huber. Anyway, one of the guards is like, alright, we're sending him to his next planet. What's it called? Earth? Well, we don't name him, kid. We just send him to you. So it's a very funny moment in the entire special because it's like, screw it. They didn't even correct the name. It's like they just call it Earth. No one corrects it and says, it's actually Earth. So yeah, it's funny. And then just how this brings the entire plot to fruition. Now, I am fully aware that there's another special about Bardock, but I have some questionable things about that special that I want to talk about when we do the review of that special. Would I recommend this? Well, obviously, you kind of need to watch this if you're wanting to get into Dragon Ball Z so that things can make, sense. It definitely wovens the plot together. Now, it'll kind of spoil who Frieza is, obviously, and it'll spoil Vegeta, but at the same time, this is very, very necessary if you want to be a good DBZ fan. If you want to learn a lot about Dragon Ball Z and for things to start making a lot more sense rather than just Frieza being this random villain that shows up during the second season, or rather than, all of this chaos going down and no explanation for it, you need to kind of watch Bardock and the Father of Goku. It's definitely a thing that not only shows some character development for Goku because we learn his origin story, but we also get to learn everything that's taken place since then and why Frieza is feared throughout the universe. So yeah, I definitely would recommend this to those who are newcomers. In fact, I require this for fans who are getting into DBZ to watch this because it's kind of necessary. It's definitely a good prequel to things that happen in the DBZ universe. In fact, I would watch this special before even watching Dragon Ball because, this starts everything off. This is how everything originates. And without this special, a lot of things don't really make sense. Or at least a lot of questions go unanswered if you don't watch this special. So I definitely love to see this. And we get to see a good way of how Saiyans work. We get to see how the bounties of Saiyans work and how Saiyans go from planet to planet invading them. And we get to see how the planets are taken over by the Saiyans when they're ruled over Frieza and how the Saiyans put up with Frieza's dirty work and everything like that. We get to see exactly how Frieza's Emperor works, whereas if you don't watch this, then you just have to know that Frieza's just this ruler and take the series' word for it. So the series does a good job of answering a lot of questions that become staple throughout the world of Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, I really recommend it. One thing that's left out is that we see Bardock as Goku's father, but we don't get to see Goku's mother. I do know that Akira Toriyama made a manga special about Goku's mother, which I will do a discussion video about sometime in the distant future, but I have some issues with that. A few issues that I'll probably talk about when that comes around. But other than that, it's good to have some origin story behind Goku. It's good to have some background behind the Saiyans, and it's good to show like what all of the Saiyans were up to during the destruction of their home planet. So yeah. And like I said, we get to see how ruthlessly evil Frieza is. I mean, he is the first real villain to destroy an entire planet. I mean, you can say Vegeta did it first, but if you look at it chronologically, Frieza is the first one to just destroy a planet without giving much of a crap about it. So, yeah, it's really cool. I really loved seeing how these Saiyans work, how vicious these Saiyans were, and how the Saiyans operate. Bardock definitely shows to be a very strong-willed character, and he even admits that he's not that smart. There's one scene where it's like the guy's like, the wise thing to do is this, and Bardock's like, I'm not that wise. And they're like, are you sure? You took out Frieza's elite soldiers. And Bardock's like, well, no, he's like, you took out the Kanassans. And Bardock rebuttals by saying, you don't have to be wise to just be good at fighting. And so Bardock's very, I guess you can say, modest about his fighting skills and his knowledge. It's kind of cool to just know that. Bardock definitely shows to be a character of his own. And he starts the trend of badass anime fathers. So kudos to you, Bardock, for being a great anime father. And just a badass all in general. Bardock's definitely shown to be one of the most popular characters in the DBZ universe. Hell, look at how many video games he's in just because of his actions alone. He may not have defeated Frieza or Dodoria for that matter, but he's definitely made a mark in Dragon Ball Z. A mark that is just as visible as that giant scar on his face. So yeah, I like this special. I recommend it. I love watching it every time. It's up to par with the movies. So yeah, give this one a look-see if you're ever curious about the Saiyans and their origins, or if you just want to see how Dragon Ball Z started it all. So the next special we will be doing will be The History of Trunks. See you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out.